magical hobby to do so little time.
Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to another edition of Pony Fanfiction Theater. I'm your host Nate. With me is Cameron,
Hey guys.
and we're both gonna read Princess Molestia. You can read along if you like. Let's begin. Every creature has needs. Every living animal with a brain has feelings. Every self-aware organism has wants. But only sentient beings can muster up the true essences of desire and passion. The same goes for every pony, every dragon, every zebra, and any other form of sentient life in Equestria. Earth ponies, Pegasus ponies, unicorn ponies, and even the few alicorns, still in existence, are subject to the double-edged sword effect of emotions, desires, and the ultimate bond between body, soul, and mind. The same is true for the loving, caring, eternally wise, and noble Princess Celestia. Though almost a true deity, though so godly in her appearance, her powers are very way of life. Even she too falls victim to the most pleasurable feelings any other sentient creature can find, as well as the most horrible and most greedy of them all. Despite her best efforts, despite her most cunning uses of psychiatry, magic, and even one point the elements of harmony, nothing can truly rid her of the darkest, most sinister, most vile, and greedy desires she has locked away within her own heart. Hundreds of years have passed since the last time Celestia's deepest, almost frightening side has surfaced, and now it once again threatens to overcome her and all those she has locked away within her own heart. Hundreds of years have passed since the last time Celestia's deepest, almost frightening side had surfaced, and now it once again threatens to overcome her and all those she cares about most. Princess Molestia by Streak the Fox. Cameron?
Alright, this was it. Tonight was going to be the best night ever. Luna couldn't help but chuckle aloud to herself as she woke up about half an hour before sundown, when it would be her time to lower the sun completely, then bring forth the night she loved to adorn with her most beloved stars and designs. However, her primary duty was not what particularly excited her tonight. It was moreover the date that had given her the giggles. For weeks, she had planned some sort of revenge against her sister, some sort of plot to make her pay for what she had done in the past. And once the clock turned midnight and the calendar flipped to the first day of April, all bets were off and Luna would begin preparing her most cunning prank yet. Oh, Luna, you are a very sneaky mare. Who else better to prank than Tia herself? Once more, Luna found herself getting rather giggly as she trotted out of her room and out towards the designated balcony where she would help lower the sun, then started her wonderful night. Oh, it would be so soundful, Luna thought to herself. It would be the most amazing night ever. I simply can't wait. All of Equestria was now long into the night. The thousands of stars above lightly sprinkled their eternal light upon the sleepy world below. All the little fillies had gone to bed. The light in the castle had almost all gone out, and only the sounds of crickets could be heard off in the distance. They had a natural sort of courage that set such a calm in every pony who listened to it. Everyone was either asleep, relaxed, or enjoying their time out in the field, enjoying the wonderful lights from above. All except one dark-blue, deliciously mischievous mare up in the royal palace in Canterlot. Luna worked in her room by herself. Multiple spellbooks lay open around her as she stood in front of her desk. Looking through the open book before her, the book was rare and contained magical spells and incantations that no normal unicorn would ever be able to make sense of. Luna, however, was more than able to read through the complex arrangement of symbols and words before her. Finally satisfied with the information gathered, Luna telekinetically closed the book and proceeded out of her room, a wild wind plastered on her face. As she slowly trotted through the halls, her horn was dimly lit as she once ran the spell through her mind and began conjuring up the correct magical patterns and setting them in place for her to unleash into the casting of the spell itself. As like a delicate puzzle, her horn was filled with magic that wove together like strings of yarn, needing a precise order and amount of magical influence in order to be set properly in place for the spell's casting. With this last bits of coming into place, Luna turned a corner to a grand hallway of white marble and gold lined into the walls, ceilings, and floors with column guiding with columns guiding through the hallways towards a large metal door, wonderfully decorated with an assortment of light colors and an almost shining cover. There was where, this was where her spell would be cast. This was her ultimate play would begin, and this was Celestia's bedroom. Normally, there would be a few guards at the door of the room itself, but Luna had ordered them earlier that night to take watch at a post a bit further out, a post from which she could easily sneak by and gain access to her big sister's chamber of slumber. Slowly, quietly, she gently pushed open the large door and took a quick peek around the room, making sure all was still and unexpected. Gradually, she began to slip inside. First her right foreleg, then her left, using her wings to keep the door slightly open. Next her back legs, and finally her tail, which she slowly closed the door behind her, making the door shut without even the slightest. Everything was going according to plan. Luna approached Celestia's bed from the side, a large lump under a pink comforter with Celestia's cutie mark embedded into the corner. The bed itself was extraordinarily large, a little eyesight for those not used to the future furniture of true royalty. This is not even registering Luna's mind as she approached the bedside, now able to hear the light snores coming from under the covers. Her horns were still dimly covered by the soft glow of the magic she had conjured and set in place, ready to be unleashed at any moment. Luna looked around one last time, inspecting her surroundings to make sure she had not forgotten anything essential to her plans. Lastly, she closed her eyes and thought deeply, imagining her bedroom very quickly in her mind, hopefully enough to teleport out of the room quickly once the spell was cast. As already now, it was time to pull the ultimate and probably the most embarrassing prank that Equestria had ever seen. Well, has been one heck of a pain to finally get ready, Luna thought to herself, as she looked over her sleeping sister. But it's now time for the greatest night ever. Tia, my loving sister, I've always wondered what sort of embarrassing secrets you may be keeping secret in there, that it'd be so selfish if I were the only one to find out. No, I think that the psychosurreal spell that shall let everyone who gazes upon all the things you keep tucked away, or perhaps a child's desire, or what was tonight. You're equivalent to Smarty Pants. Maybe you have a craving for a Lestia's food, or even Luna gasped to herself as the sudden realization hit her. Even a crust. Yes, big sister. Tonight will be a night to remember.
Let me keep going here. The spell Luna had been researching for hours and piercing together in her horn was no normal spell. It was a highly advanced, incredibly difficult spell that, if cast improperly, may result in side effects such as temporary memory loss, sporadic changes in mood, derp syndrome, or even mental breakdowns. The spell was very similar to that truth-telling spell, but instead of forcing the spell is cast on to only to tell the truth, it forcibly brings out the hidden feelings of a pony the spell is cast on and makes them practically broadcast them out to the world around them. Though the effect will only last a few hours, Luna was sure she would cherish every moment of Celestia's mindless babbling and spilling all of the beans she had stored inside of her. Luna was completely ready to see her best prank ever come to life, but as her horn flared and the beam of light shot towards Celestia, the next few seconds would vastly change her opinions on her recent actions. The spell struck perfectly, and her mind-altering magic quickly began to seep through Celestia's coat and skin, traveling deep into her body and her mind in order to see what it could unravel. All Luna had to do was channel the spell for a few short seconds it took to complete, and then teleport out before Celestia realized what happened. However, only a second into the spell, this magic hit something inside Celestia that Luna didn't expect. It was a barrier of some sort, a seal within her own mind, something that was artificially holding back something else inside of her older sister. Whether Luna wanted to find out what it was or not, the spell moved too quickly for her to make any changes in it. The powerful effect of the spell almost instantly broke through the hidden seal inside Celestia's mind, unleashing whatever was secluded inside of it. But at the moment, the magic that was holding the seal in place suddenly expelled itself from her mind violently, pushing out Luna's own spell as Celestia herself was hit with an inward jolt up and down her spine, immediately waking her up with a heavy, dry gasp. The spell ended that second, and Luna knew something was wrong. The spell was cast perfectly, but something inside, some other magical effects inside of Celestia, had not only stopped it, but had completely expelled the effects that had even woken Celestia up. Oh no, this is bad. I have to go. I have to get out now. Before Luna had even taken the time to think about what may have caused the abrupt interference of the spell, she dove into her mind and brought up the image of her room, quickly conjuring up a quick teleportation spell and sending her out of the room. Celestia, hearing the light ping that is the sound of a teleportation spell, thrusted her upper body upward and looked around the room hastily. Nothing was there. The room stood dark and still, and only the sound of the wind blowing against the drapes of the windows was able to be heard. Celestia sighed deeply, closing her eyes for a minute to think about what may have just happened. Was she dreaming? Did she perhaps have a nightmare, and her horn was on the fritz again? She couldn't tell, but in the moments the door to her bedroom opened up as the two guard ponies stepped in, looking to be as if in a rush. "Princess Celestia," the guard on the right announced, "we saw a bright flash coming from the window of your room. Is everything all right?"
Well, of course everything's
Just a sudden jolt seemed to impact Celestia as her eyes suddenly widened. Her pupils dilated harshly, and her teeth began to jitter. She looked down at her first, her mind scrambled in her regular thought process interrupted by this strange sensation she was feeling. She suddenly felt dizzy, her head lightly swaying side to side as something began to invade the workings of her mind. The guards, seeing the apparent disarray of the princess, rushed up against the foot of the bed, seeing if the princess was injured or perhaps giving off some sort of magical backlash, as would be the effect of the most offensive spells. Yet the princess, swaying, quickly stopped, as she then looked up towards the guards, meeting each of them eye to eye. Both guards took a step back. This wasn't the regular gaze of Celestia. Her eyes were open wide, and her pupils were now resembling tiny black dots. Little streams of blood seeped into the whites of her eyes, making them seem bloodshot. Her face had a horribly creepy grin on it as her teeth continued to jitter and shake, as if she was freezing cold. Celestia's eyes shot to each of the guards quickly, going back and forth to meet with both of their eyes. Before another word was spoke from the guards, Celestia's horn lit up from the door behind them shut with a loud thud. The lock on the door shined magically as it slid into place, sealing out any pony outside and trapping any others inside with what now lurked in Celestia's bed. The two guards looked back at the closed door, then to each other, both with obvious strikes of fear in each other's faces. They even began to remotely understand what had happened to Celestia, what had happened in the room before they came in, but she wasn't her now. She was something else. The look on her face sent shivers through their bodies as her eyes seemed to pierce like the tip of a spear into each of their souls. Neither guard could move as Celestia gazed at each of them, her grin widening while the sheets of her bed began to slide down by her own magic. Continue.
My most loyal, most trustworthy guards, Celestia spoke, her voice piercing through the silence of the room. Would you care to join me tonight in a most wonderful slumber? The two guards once again exchanged glances. They returned their focus to Celestia just in time to see her horn lit up once again and take hold of the armor that bound them. Almost effortlessly, the gold plating slipped off their bodies, fully leaving the white coats of their bodies while the armor was flung to the side of the room. Princess, are you all right? You seem rather shaken. Oh, I was feeling very lonely earlier, but now that you both are here, I now have something to keep me occupied. A magical force on the runts of both guards pushed them towards the bed a little. Really, you should, get back to standing guard, ma'am. Oh, I think you've done a fine job tonight. But now it's the time for another duty of yours. The magical force tugged their bodies closer to the bed, halving the distance from where they started. But Princess, what other duty is this for us, your Majesty? Oh, the most taxing, most important, and most pleasurable duty of all. Celestia reached out enough and fully as the magical force once more pushed the guards even closer still. To prevent the Celestial Gestria, one guard finally cried out in a terrified yell, "What has gotten into you?" The very next moment, Celestia twisted herself off the bed, launching her full body down over the foot of the bed against the two guards, sending them both back, falling with their legs sprawled out on their faces, stricken with fear. And their faces stricken with fear. Celestia towered over them, her against the outer shoulder and outer thigh of each of the guards. Damn it, this grammar sucks. My reading sucks. As if keeping them trapped within her grasp, her head slung down as her smile only increased with a little slight drool trickling over her trip. Somebody needs to give Celestia a napkin. It is not what has gotten into me, but instead what is going into you. I'm going to shove this horse dildo up your ass. Any questions? Both guards say, the fuck? Stupid, stupid, stupid. Luna boasted as she paced back and forth in her room, scorning herself for messing up such an important spell and ruining a great prank. I was so close to getting the ultimate revenge and I had to screw up. I'm so stupid for not thinking this through enough. How could I be so duh? The constant from Luna was bringing on herself continued. Her rapid pacing included the stomping of her hooves, clap, 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 and the whipping of her tail against her desk. Jeez, Luna, calm down. And the occasional banging of her horn against her head. Now, not only did she fail her prank and spoil one of her chances for a good laugh, but she probably now also got Tia incredibly upset with her. Luna, you had also unfortunately unlocked the complete utter evil rapist inside your older sister. Just want to let you know that. Oh wait, damn it! Luna's body flinched as she, at the thought of another year on the moon, passed through her mind, or maybe another whole 1,000 of them. Her thought train was cut off. Her thought train. Great. Dyslexic. Was cut off by a sudden streak of shriek from that distance. It was a Colt's voice, but it seemed to come out from outside. Quickly, Luna ran out to her balcony and looked around for only a few seconds before she noticed a flickering color display of lights coming from the window of Celestia's bedroom. Oh my gosh! That's the light of a magical discharge. Oh god. The sexual overtones. Oh my Celestia! Without hesitation, Luna burst through her bedroom door and practically fell down the hall, taking the few turns needed to get back to the main hallway in the Celestia's royal bedroom. All there was a crowd of guards around the door, all of them trying to desperately break open the door and get inside of the source of the commotion. Quickly, Luna fed magic through her horn and focused it under the door and up to the lock. She felt her way around it, working her way through the balls and sides and locking itself before it got down. As she flew towards the door, the guards stopped gathering behind her, knowing Luna would probably be the most important to enter the room. In the next moment, Luna's front hooves collided with the large door and... God dang it! Why do you have to do this much detail? Speak the fox. Both guards had their armor stripped, their bodies covered in sweat and forms of wetness while panting heavily.
It's already been taken care of.
Their faces held expressions of fear and anguish. Their figures seemed depleted, as if their energy had been all taken away. Both were laid on their backs, their legs spread out widely with a slender yet powerful hoof stroking down the chest and stomach of each. Before them stood Celestia herself, but different. The chains had become somewhat distorted, and as if her wild glimmer not been imprinted on there artificially. Her pupils were tiny, her eyes were bloodshot, and even her mane was different, as it seemed to spaz out randomly, like it had a mind of its own. Her tail was also acting strangely, whisking itself side to side like a playful cat, and her horn was still fizzing with magic, while also being covered with some sort of clear liquid. My God. Celestia stopped and immediately struck her gaze towards Luna, who looked back with a mix of shock, confusion, and fear at the sight before her. A drop of drool started to slide down her lips as Celestia spoke out towards her sister, while her eyes seemed to tear deep into Luna's soul. Luna, my dear loving delicious sister. This is all Luna needed to hear before she immediately turned her flank around and flew as fast as she could before in the opposite, and tried to run away. She didn't know where she was going. She was so scared by Celestia And meanwhile, a large crashing sound was heard behind her as the group of guards from before suddenly yelled out as if suddenly hit by something. As Luna continued to fly, it became obvious by the faint yet distinguishable blow that Celestia had got away past... Sorry about that yawn. Celestia had forced her way past the guards and was not far behind. Luna pushed forward, flashing as fast as her wings could take her down each hallways and past each doorway, only to finally come to a dead end. In her own bedroom. Fuck. No, Luna didn't say that. That was me. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. She gasped to herself, desperately trying to figure out what to do next. Quickly, she closed the door to her room, that would, hoping that provides that would help her hide from her older sister Lionel for her to find a solution. This, however, proved to be unfortunately false. Only moments later, Luna's bedroom swung open loudly. Celestia herself plunging into the room with the same wicked grin on her face while her wings stayed completely unfurled and spread outwards around her. Luna's heart sank as a cold, painful shiver ran down her spine and throughout her body. She turned around just in time to see Celestia's friend who grew up and pushed Luna back into her own bed, making her give off a slight shriek of pain. The door into the room strictly stuck, and all the rooms immediately closed with the curtain sliding open as Celestia's horn began to flow once more with the intent of magic. Tia, sister, what do you know? The question has gotten into you. Oh, Luna, I have always loved you so very much. Oh, I've always dreamed of feeling your, well, groomed coat. Celestia's right, who trailed up and down from Luna's neck to her chest and around to her side. Your dazzling, wonderful, crushed mane. Like a tentacle, Celestia's mane slithered down and wrapped herself around Luna's, which was laid out beside her. And your exquisite, erotic body. Celestia dripped her lead down and slid her tongue out. Oh, god damn it. Slowly bringing it around Luna's chest and up her neck and muzzle stopped being just on her the bottom lip. Luna's entire body was now trembling with fear, her innermost instincts about to ready to force her into violent retaliation if it had come to it, only being held back by the fact that this was Luna's older sister here, now and on top of her. Hot, naked, Alicorn mare action, following and filling up her body as if he's some kind of perverted play toy. This was not the Celestia she knew, and there was no way she could think of a way out with her mind as horrifyingly scrambled as it was. Celestia's tail slithered and stroked itself against Luna's, but soon began to ride up the tail and slit itself against Luna's rear, exploring her figure and spreading apart her legs. Splayed open her haunches obscenely while it lathered itself against Luna's coat. Nate, you want to take over?
Yes. The sensation that ran through Luna's body forced a small moan to escape her lips, pushing through Luna's best efforts to keep it held down. This only excited Celestia even more as her mane wrapped itself around Luna's and tugged her head closer, her body now lowering down and brushing up directly against Luna's white, while Celestia's eyes grew wider still. Her tongue slipped out once more and slid itself around Luna's face and muzzle, swirling around her nose and mouth before suddenly jolting down between her lips and forcing inside Luna's saliva-coated orifice. At the exact moment Celestia's lower body connected with Luna's and roughly began to push and grind up and down against her, pressing with enough force to move Luna's body forward and back against the bed as well. Luna couldn't withstand this feeling coursing through her entire body, as she was in a state of compelling fright as her older sister dominated her and used her like some sort of toy. Yet, at the same time, the flowing sensation racing through her body was unimaginably pleasurable. That sensation bore through like a hot flame, passing over the surface of fresh oil, reaching the endpoints of her body, and then repelling back with double the force, like a wave crashing against the wall and sending more waves back. This kept up for several minutes, with each passing moment diving Luna's body into further strain of dealing with this sort of forced pleasure. Just when Celestia had begun to lose herself in the full force of her domination over her sister, a sudden poof of smoke appeared before her with a magical sputter. Quickly Celestia reared back, while still staying on top of Luna, and examined the magical cloud before her just in time to see it materialize into a letter. Instinctively, Celestia used her magic to unravel the letter and began to read its content. Dear Princess Celestia, my friends and I all have learned an important lesson today, though it may be a lot easier to simply stand stand by and watch as something wrong happens to somebody else. Sometimes you just need to stop and stand up for yourself. To be treated unfairly just because of a little rumor, a small white lie, or even due to some silly stereotype is a big mistake. And even if it isn't happening to you or someone you know, you should try to help make sure things right so that every pony gets treated fairly and have equally fun experiences. Your faithful student, Twilight Sparkle. Twilight Sparkle? Twilight Sparkle? Twilight Sparkle! It had only taken a few moments for Celestia to read the letter, but in the last two words, the name of her descendant repeated itself in her head for much longer. Luna, although still trapped underneath Celestia's body, was panting as she looked up, confused at Celestia, who appeared in them being mid-gasp. As if like a bolt of lightning, all the memories of Twilight Sparkle and of her friends in all of Ponyville suddenly darted through her mind and enveloped her thoughts. She looked down towards Luna, who returned the gaze with a still frightened yet a confused look. Luna and the guards were one thing, but Twilight and her friends, oh, how she had desired to feel through them all.
My God.
And in a few and
Okay, I have to get that laugh off.
and in a few more moments her mind was made up. She stood up on the bed, pulling her body off of Luna's, blew open the door to the bedroom, and raced out at the nearly top speed, leaving a dazzling magical trail of her that slowly faded away. Luna was still laying on the bed, her legs sprawled out and her hot, sweating body exposed. She laid on her back, panting, her horn giving off a slight magical discharge while she slowly closed her eyes, utterly exhausted both emotionally and physically, and drifted off to sleep. End of part 1.